What's up, YouTube? Welcome back. I have a cool rifle to show you guys today. You guys are probably going to not believe that I'm even showing you this company's rifle today, but we're going to take a look at a Bear Creek Arsenal rifle, and it's going to probably surprise you what this thing actually is. I'm very excited about it. I was excited when I heard that they were making it. I'm not really a Bear Creek person. The whole argument aside of whether Bear Creek makes quality ARs or not doesn't really apply to this because this is not an AR. This is a 1022 style rifle, but there's a caveat to this. This isn't your normal 1022 as the truck goes down the road to make noise. This is a 1022 Magnum. So Ruger used to produce a 1022 Magnum and they stopped, I believe, in the early 90s. I'll correct myself up here if I'm wrong, but they stopped making it for probably reliability reasons as far as we've heard. But now we have Bear Creek Arsenal chambering a 1022 Magnum or 1022 WMR, and I think that's really awesome. I've always wanted one of the Rugers. I wasn't in the market to buy one back when they had them, and then when I realized they were really a thing, they were already gone, and now they're hyper expensive. This is pretty darn expensive for a Bear Creek Arsenal item, but it's not expensive compared to trying to get your hands on an actual Ruger 1022 Magnum. So let's take a look at it. Let's shoot it. Let's just check it out in general. Let's see if it's reliable. It is a little bit rainy out today. It's a little bit dim, but hopefully the lighting's good enough to show you. Basically what we have here is it's what's called the BC-202. They have a 201, and that's the 22 long rifle. But for some reason, nobody's really talking about this 202, and I can't understand that because Magnum is always better. This is a bull barrel version, and then it has a pretty cool looking stock. I like this color. It is a Hogue overmolded stock, so it is grippy. You have the Hogue texture. It's not sticky, it's just grippy. It doesn't allow for your hands to smoothly roll across it. So it is definitely a different texture. It kind of touches your clothes and sticks to it, but I like it. It's interesting. I don't have any rifles with this kind of a stock. It's not exactly bedded. I wouldn't call it floated, and I wouldn't call it exactly bedded. It does move with the barrel. It has a stainless steel bull barrel on it. It has a slightly odd profile where it tapers down right here at the front of the forend. It tapers down just slightly, but it is a threaded barrel. It has kind of, I don't even know what you call this with this many sides on it, but an octagonal looking end cap. It's on there pretty tight, but it's a 22 Magnum bull barrel. It's a very bull barrel, so makes the gun a little bit heavy, but not too bad. I'm assuming that that's really going to help with accuracy, not reliability necessarily, but accuracy definitely. If you find an ammo that this thing's going to like, it should be pretty good. Reliability is the thing we have to worry about with the 1022 style firearm. It comes with a Picatinny rail molded into the stock. It does not have a back sight like your average Ruger 1022 would. Here is my actual Ruger 1022 and 22 long rifle, and underneath that scope you can see there is a rear ghost ring sight, and that's how that one comes with the factory. Also on this 1022, down here at the other end, there is a position for a front sight. However, I've lost my front sight, so I do have a new one to stick in there. I just haven't done it yet. But with this specific barrel here on this gun, you do not have a place for a front sight. And that's just the nature of bull barrels in general, usually on these type of rifles. I always like iron sights, but hey, we got to live with what we got to live with. We only have a couple options here. So what we do have on top of this as an optic, we have a SIG Buckmaster 4-16 power. That's a 4-16 by 44. It's a general hunting scope up to 16 power, so you can get pretty good zooms on it. It's sitting on Monstrum rings. Don't knock them too hard. It's only a 22 Magnum. It's not going to recoil itself out of those rings. I have no idea what kind of triggers they put in their BCAs, but it's a red trigger, so maybe that indicates it's cool, racy, nice. I don't know. I haven't actually tried it yet because we haven't taken any shots with this gun yet. You're going to see first shots on camera. I have cleaned the barrel and the chamber out and made sure everything's lubricated properly. But I didn't want to pull the trigger, of course, because it's a rim fire. I didn't put any snap caps or anything. We're going to learn this rifle together. There is a sling stud underneath here, and that's what this Magpul bipod is attached to. What's cool about these Magpul bipods is that it just relocates your actual sling stud to back here, and you, of course, have a rear sling stud. Pretty good butt pad on this gun. It looks like it's strong enough where it's not going to degrade over time. It's a little bit stiff, a little bit cushy, kind of in between. I think it'll be probably perfect for a 1022 Magnum style firearm. With the Hogue overmolded grip, it is kind of a seamless texture, it feels really good like that. And being a 1022 clone, it has 1022 controls. Everything is like you would normally expect. It has a crossbar safety right here, which I personally love from growing up with BB guns and old style 22s. It has your magazine removal tab right here. It does take Ruger magazines. It ships with one Ruger 9-shot magazine made for 22 Magnum or 17 HMR. As you can see, the 22 Magnum and 17 HMR cases are definitely longer. The 17 HMR is based off the 22 Magnum case, so compared to the 22 long rifle magazine, it's just stretched out a little bit. Here's where things get a little bit sad and disappointing for me. This is the 9-round magazine that it ships with from the factory, and here's a Ruger magazine that's made for 22 Magnum and 17 HMR, but it's a 15-round magazine. However, it does not fit into this rifle. This one goes in smooth, this one does not. Now, there's different little parts of geometry and things here and there on the tabs, the front, the back, wherever, and it just does not line up. It does not allow it. I tried it multiple times. If you try to jam it in there, it won't even let the bolt move back. So I don't know if there's adjustments that need to be made, or if it just can't be done, or if there's going to be an aftermarket magazine that will be larger capacity. But for now, we're stuck with a 9-round magazine as far as I know. So now the Ruger 1022 that I have here for comparison, this thing has had the crap shot out of it. I bought it used. It's pretty beat up. Ever since I've got it, I've been just shooting the crap out of it. I'm sure it's had a rough life in general, but it still shoots. And I just wanted to show the action on this one. 1022s, just for people that haven't experienced them, they have a weird little way that the bolt goes back. So it goes back a little bit, and then it hits some kind of tension, and it goes back a little bit farther. It hits its recoil device or whatever. I'm not a gunsmith. Don't hold me to any of these actual words. But it goes back kind of smooth, kind of hitchy, and then it has another pressure point where it goes back. So that's the exact same thing you're going to see on the BCA. It feels a little rough because this one is brand new. This one definitely doesn't feel like glass or anything like that. It feels like it's minor grit sandpaper, but it moves back to about there, and then it completes its travel. It is a little bit stiffer, and I'm sure that's to accommodate the Magnum cartridges, but it has an okay travel. I don't feel anything hanging up in there. I will say that this is a janky looking charging handle. That's a weird little hex bolt in there, and a not exactly pretty piece of metal there for the charging handle, but I guess looks aren't everything. Function is function, and maybe there's aftermarket things you can do. But going back to the regular 1022, it's just a little different. It looks nice on the 1022. It does not look nice on the BCA. And here's where we have to talk about my relationship real quick with BCA, Bear Creek Arsenal, because I'm sure some people out there are wondering, is this something that he was just given? Is this a promotion? Absolutely not. Heck no. We are a no BS channel. We are not a shill channel. We don't take promotions from people, or we're not compensated for reviews, whatever you want to talk about. We don't do coupon codes. We don't do anything like that. This was not even bought through Bear Creek Arsenal, so they have no attachment to me whatsoever. I purchased this through another company that carries Bear Creek products. I can't say who it is exactly, of course, because we'll get in trouble due to the rules. However, they have no connection to me, not whatsoever. They don't know who I am. I purchased this because I didn't see anybody else reviewing this. I'm interested in it. I want it. So what better way to figure it out but than to buy it ourselves and do a review? Now we can bring it to you. But like I said, paid for with our own money. We have absolutely unbiased opinion. I've never owned a BCA product ever before in my life. They get trashed on constantly. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give this thing an honest go. I actually really hope it does well, because MSRP on this thing and the street price is pretty pricey compared to even their own 22 version of this. I did pay pretty good money for it. I would like it to work well. I would like to add it to my collection. Like I said, I've always wanted one of these. So fingers crossed, I hope this thing works out. So we're going to run 5 different ammos to this thing today. I'm not going to go too crazy. We're not doing gel testing or velocity testing, anything like that yet. What we want to do is see about reliability with these different types of ammunition. So we have some Armscor bulk stuff that I bought a long time ago. This stuff used to be really good for the money. It was pretty reliable. Every now and then you'll have a failure to ignite, but the ammo was really good. It's soft point ammo. You can hunt with it, you can plink with it, and like I said, the price was always really good. Here I have A22. Now that's made around a Savage A22 rifle. I don't know why they say it's made around that, but it's optimized, or whatever you want to call it. Another bulk offering that used to be very affordable. I bought it way before the whole coughing situation, so these are just good old ammos, standbys that I like to use. Now, one that I have down here is a Target load. You can buy it in Target or a hollow point varmint. We have the Target load, the full metal jacket flat point, or total metal jacket. It's CCI Maxi Mag. That's 22 WMR, of course. It's more powerful than the Mini Mag by far, and it's a very common, very good, in my opinion, ammunition for 22 Magnum. CCI usually is known with reliability. Next to that, we have some Hornady 22 Magnum. That's a 30 grain VMAX round. I forgot to mention the grains. We have 40 on the Maxi Mag, and we have 35 on the 822, and we have 40 on the Armscor. But back to the Hornady. So that's a 30 grain VMAX. Now that has a little polymer tip in there. I'll show it to you when we get it out, but they have a little polymer tip. That is definitely a hunting round, and that is a tragedy on an animal when it hits it. So as long as this thing is accurate, this might be a very good hunting round I would like to use. Next up, we have Aguila 22 Win Mag, and that's a soft point. It's pretty generic. It's a semi-jacketed. It's not really reliable. I have definitely had ignition problems with this ammunition, but we have a little bit left. I think we might have 10 rounds left. I just want to try it out. So first up is that Armscor soft point, hollow point, generic hunting, plinking, whatever round. Yep, there we go. First jam. And we got it to go. So that wasn't exactly smooth, but that's okay. We will give it a little bit to break in. I have no idea what my zero is, so I'm just going to aim at the center of this target and hope to hit it. There we go. It's not too bad. It's not off too terrible. Ejection was up that way, so that's a little bit odd, but it did seem to put a new one in there. Now, I'll show you that right now, that the one it did put in there, no, I didn't know if the extractor grabbed it the first time, but let's see. All right, we seem to be going. Let's go through the rest of the mag. That was a double. That right there was a double, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what to say about that. That right there was a double. There is a fresh one in there. I got to think about something here real quick. Give us one break. Stand by. All right, so we just had to talk about something. We're back briefly. We want to look at the target because actually I'm aiming right here. The scope's a little off. We're making a good group here. It does feel good. It's pretty powerful, but you guys did see that. I'm going to put that in slow motion, so you'll definitely see it. But even with that, the accuracy was pretty darn good. I still don't know how to move forward, but you'll see it here in about 0.5 seconds. All right, we have one more in the mag. We have one more in the gun. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to take one shot. And yeah, we're going to see what happens here. So one shot. All right, that was good. And the second shot. Okay, so we made it through. Now we don't have a bolt hold open. No big deal for a 22, but it does not hold the bolt open. They do not claim that it does. Of course, I'd like to be able to get the magazine out of it. That would be helpful. And I usually do know how to do that. That one's pretty rough to get out of there. Sometimes they can be rough, but that was definitely rough. Let me load up some different ammo. All right, now we're moving on to the 35 grain A22. It's another exposed lead tip. It just doesn't look like the other one, but it's definitely a little hunting cartridge if you want, or plinking, fun, whatever target. That's the 7th round. I just put the 8th round in, and I just want you guys to notice something. This thing is a very rattly mag. So we have it fully loaded up here. I put the microphone right next to it. Hopefully you guys can catch that. All right, 10 more rounds going in. Let's see what happens on this one. I'm going to keep aiming for the exact same spot. And I forgot to charge it, so let's put one in the chamber. That one chambered much more smoothly. But that one did not fire. So that sucks. We'll give it a couple seconds. The user manual, of course. I actually read this one. It says wait 30 seconds, but nope, and it's not going to come out of there. So let's take the magazine out. So it's stuck in there. You can see it is in the chamber. It was struck once, and the extractor did not yank it back out. So I'm going to let the extractor go home on it lightly, try to get it. And yeah, okay, it's going to pull it. I'll go ahead and go home on it one more time. It is capable of firing without the magazine. And it went that time. So magazine back in. I told you that extractor seemed like it could be a little bit weak. I hope that's not a reality. And even though there was no magazine in there, we did have a failure to properly extract. So we had a jam right there. Let's go ahead and just let that get out of there, and let's pretend that didn't happen for now. So all the way back, full spring power going forward, safe direction actually, since we're having malfunctions here. It seemed to have put one in, and it seemed to have sent it home. I can feel that it's all the way home. And then we did not have another shot because it didn't put the next one in there properly. The magazine should be seated, and a lot of times that'll damage a round, so let's get that out of there and inspect. The only actual damage on that round is a little ding right there, but you might notice the next round in there also has a ding, so that could totally be from the factory. So I will load that back up and see if we can get this magazine to run. I did see in some of the reviews, there are actually reviews up there so far. That one did seat, but again, the extractor does not grab it to pull it out consistently. I did see some reviews that said it does malfunction a little bit to start with, and then sometimes they break in. All right, we must be empty, I hope. Yep, we are. And I'll start showing you the trigger here on the next magazine, but we did make it through that one. All right, the 40 grain mini mags, total metal jacket, flat point on them, no exposed lead. You know what they say about, or these are maxi mags actually, but between mini mags and maxi mags, if they're not going to run these, they're not going to run anything. That's usually the general rule of thumb. CCI makes really good ammunition. Now, they don't make perfect ammunition. Don't be fooled by that. Nobody makes perfect rimfire ammunition. It's never perfect, but it can be pretty good. So I'm going to make sure that magazine is definitely seated in there. Yes, it did chamber one, and yes, the extractor did grab it. And we have a problem. We have a failure to properly feed one into the chamber out of the magazine. Sometimes you can solve that with a little tap, push, no. Sometimes a little relief and push. Actually, it's pretty nose up there. You can see it's actually stopping on the way top of the chamber there. It's not even making its way in there at all. No case damage that I could see, so we're just going to roll with that one again. Make sure it's in there. Yes, it is. All right. And we did cycle all the rest of those. So little bits of a hiccup right now, but we're still in the break-in period, I guess. Next ammunition. All right, this 30 grain VMAX. Like I said, this is definitely a little varmint round, polymer tip in there. Pretty nice little round. We got 9 of these loaded up, and I'm assuming these should run pretty well. And I say that because I don't think that they're loaded weak sauce. We did get one to go into the chamber properly, and the extractor is holding on to it. And so I pulled the trigger, nothing happened. I don't know if we failed to, we got one in there, but the trigger was dead. So maybe we didn't get one out of there. Nope, there's a new one in there. So that's kind of odd. I don't think that I even got a click. I might have to look back on that slow motion footage, but I don't even believe I have a click. I pretty much felt a dead trigger. Let's see what happens now. Yeah, I have a dead trigger. So magazine's in, charging handle is forward or bolt. Let me go ahead and pull this one out of here. We do not have a strike on the back of that round. It was in the dirt a little bit. I cleaned it off, but no strike whatsoever. We're going to keep this on camera, one solid motion, so nobody thinks I'm cheating. There goes the round back in there. Here goes the magazine back into the gun. Here we're going to charge it back into the chamber. And yes, it is in there, and I'll even pull it back to show you no magic tricks. There is copper. The round is in there. Send it home. Safety is off. Hopefully we get an actual bang. All right, we did. Maybe I somehow short-stroked the trigger or something odd like that. I'm not sure. And hopefully it's empty now. And yes, it is empty. So we got through the magazine, but again, with a hiccup. The Aguila, another exposed lead soft point. So if it does run into that chamber in any weird angle, that could hang it up. But it's not exactly, for me, the most reliable ammunition. And that's in multiple platforms. But we'll give it a go today, and we'll see how this one likes it. All right, mag insertion. No shenanigans. We did chamber one properly. We have a piece of brass in there, and it should have a bullet with it. And the very next shot, we did not get a shot. So still safe range, safe direction downrange. Let's see what we have here. Well, we have something in there. The extractor's not grabbing what is in there. So I always hate that with a 22. Let's get the magazine out and let's try getting that out a little bit more aggressively. There we go. We got it. That's actually a live round in there. That's why I never assume. So that's a live round in there. So already we're getting things sticking into the chamber in there. Certain guns, I will say I have a 17 HMR that constantly gets very cruddy in the chamber. I don't know if it's gas blowback from a not proper chamber size, but it gets sticky and cruddy right away. It's almost like a little bit of a gummy glue that holds rounds in there. Either that's going on or we have one of the weakest extractors in the world because this is a brand new gun. So let's send it back home. Let's reinsert that magazine. And let's see if we can get through this magazine. That does feel like a pretty hot ammunition, actually. I mean, it should be cycling things properly. You can tell this is Magnum. This is not 22. But, yeah, we're not seeing it. We got a jam right here. You can see we're back on top of that. Right back on top of the chamber again, nowhere near getting into the chamber where we need to be. And I know I haven't shown you the trigger yet, but we're having malfunctions. So I will get to the trigger, but let me clear this one. And this will be a fun one to clear. See, so sticking straight out of the magazine like that, that's not a good situation. But like I said, this is probably one of the worst ammos we could be using. I've never had good luck with this stuff. So not necessarily able to blame the gun for this one. I did rechamber that same round. And yeah, we're having problems now. So ejection problem there. That did not want to come out. We do have another one in there. So it chambered one, but failure to eject one. That means a lot of things are bouncing around back in here. It could be because it is possibly higher velocity ammo. I'm not sure, but it's always a real pain in the butt when it starts doing that kind of stuff. Yeah, the recoil impulse just feels horrible. So I'm not going to keep pushing it with this ammo. We have one that just failed to go in there. It dove straight upwards again. So I'm going to cut it out with this ammo. Let me get some better ammo in here, or one that has seemed to like better, and I'll show you the trigger. So I'm going to go ahead and use that Armscor. That stuff has always been good for me, and I think it ran decent enough in this rifle. Let's go ahead and get one in there, and I'll show you the trigger now. So I haven't even really been paying attention to it. It's not that bad. So it's red. I don't know why it has to be red, but a little bit of plasticky take up. It's definitely a very plasticky trigger. And sorry, my fingers are always dirty, grimy, and cut up and stuff, but very plasticky trigger. Even with minimal pressure, it feels like a toy. Get on that trigger. It has a lot of that plasticky bend. There's no dingus or break in there at all. No trigger safety as far as I know. But you reach a slight wall and then it just goes off. The reset is right there. Doesn't take much. There's no, like, how do I say this? It goes back on its own very lightly. It doesn't push against your finger, so it does what your finger does. We go back through the trigger again. It's going to go off. Reset. Right there. So completely off. It's just the most weird little take up here. It's almost like not take up. There is take up because there's something mechanical in there, but then there's plastic bend take up, and then it's like boom, 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 an actual boom. So mechanical, well, now it's jammed. So of course we have to deal with that. Why don't we get in there? Let me fix this. All right, we got that fixed. We're back to the trigger again. So yeah, mechanical take up, plasticky bend, and then boom. So not too terrible. All right, I have 9 more rounds of Armscor loaded up. I just want to see if I can get through one magazine without a jam. I'm going to be shooting at a couple other targets. I'll have to Kentucky windage the crap out of it due to the scope not being totally on, but yep, didn't happen on that one. We actually have a pretty stiff jam on this one, so it's stuck in there pretty good. That bolt does not want to come back easily at all. That was very stiff. It'll go ahead and it'll go back in there. I don't know why that was so incredibly stiff. You good? Yeah. And now we have a mess in there now. totally a mess. We have one trying to go in, and then we have one that never made its way out. So let's see if we can shake all of this out. That's a lot to shake out. All right, so I'm just going to try to finish this magazine. That is not looking good. And yeah, it finished the magazine. Let me try the other one. Let me go ahead and load up the A22 and see if we can get a magazine of that to roll. All right, we got camera guy's going to go ahead and shoot this one, see if he has any better luck. Maybe it's just my terrible luck. The microphone's on him too, so if I sound funny, that's why. And apparently we got one in there. Yep, good to go. All right. Nope. Already had some sort of a mouth going on. I can see when this nose dived up high again. Go ahead and clear that one out, camera guys, see what we can do. Oh. So it looks like we have a pretty good dented bullet. That's what starts happening. Dented casing. That's what makes it really hard with these rim fires. They start just chewing up the ammunition. All right, so we gave up on that. I just want to show you a regular 10-22, an old used Ruger 10-22. I probably don't even need to use the stinking sights on this thing. All right, there we go. Completely empty. That's how they're supposed to run. So the 22 Magnums, that is the problem with them. Well, there you go, guys. Unfortunately, there is your no BS review of the BC-202. I'm pretty sure you can assume what my opinion is of it. I mean, it feels nice. I like the stock. It looks okay. It's got a nice heavy barrel, and you can do things like put bipods and scopes and stuff on it like any other rifle. However, it's not reliable. And I consider firearms that are not reliable to be a danger. It's like a fire extinguisher, let me talk right, that doesn't work. It's like a parachute that doesn't open. If the brakes on your car or the airbags didn't open, if that stuff fails, that's life-saving devices. Now, this is a 10-22 Magnum. You might not consider this to be a life-saving device, but in my opinion, any firearm can be a life-saving device. It could be a life-saving device because one day you might need it to get you food. And if you don't get that shot and you don't get that food, you might starve to death. That's very far off. Maybe some people say that's irrational thinking, but anything from self-defense to gathering food, this is a tool and it needs to work. And it could be an emergency tool. I personally don't put up with firearms that are malfunctioning all the time, so I'll work with it. I'll see if I can get it to break in. I'll see if I can get it to smooth out. I'll see if I can find an ammunition that it likes. But that's another thing I don't like is guns that are finicky on ammo. You can't always get what ammo they want. And sometimes lots of ammo, especially for 22 and 22 Magnum, lot to lot, it can be a little different in velocity. So even if you find an ammo it likes, it might not like the next lot of the same ammo. It's a Bear Creek Arsenal product, and they have a reputation for being a little iffy on reliability in general. I'm pretty surprised that they had the guts to take on a 10-22 Magnum when Ruger themselves won't even deal with it. You are able to go ahead and cobble these things together if you want to buy the parts. There's all sorts of aftermarket parts, including Magnum type receivers that you can do this stuff with. But it's kind of hard to get right, and I think they're going to find that out with this. Maybe that's why they're not pushing it exactly right now too heavy. Maybe they are trying to work out some kinks. Now, there is something interesting. I'll give you a little piece of news. Always good to stay around to the end of the video in case there's extra news. In the manual, they talk about the 202 being possibly, at least the way I read the manual, they're showing that it could be also made in a 17 HMR variant. At least that's the way they explained what the magazine capacity would be for a 17 HMR variant. So it's in the paperwork. A lot of times we see another version of a gun stuck in the paperwork. An example would be the Ruger LC carbine. When the paperwork came for the LC carbine 45, it also included language for the 10 millimeter. So people knew that the 10 millimeter was coming. I believe they're going to try a 17 HMR version, and that might be even trickier. I mean, if anything else, I guess if you know that you have one in the chamber, you will at least get that first shot, but it's the subsequent shots. That's why it's a semi-automatic. And I don't think you can blame the magazines because we're using Ruger magazines. If anybody can do a rotary style magazine, it's going to be Ruger. Maybe the action needs smooth out. Maybe the springs aren't proper. We'll figure it out. We'll try to figure it out, but I won't put too much time into it, I'll tell you that. I will offload any gun that just proves to be not reliable. Really, the only other thing that I want to do with this rifle to show you guys that I can think of, I mean, I can't really compare it to anything else. We know what it is. There's a million of these types of actions out there in 22 long rifle. I would like to check the accuracy because we do have one heck of a bull barrel. Mrs. Turkey is even like, that gun looks really funny. It has a teeny tiny little hole up front, but it has a huge barrel. I said, that's a bull barrel. I explained to her that's for accuracy. And let's see if it actually translates out to accuracy. That'll be upcoming. Make sure you're subscribed if you're interested in this rifle. Reliability, no. Hopefully accuracy, yes. Not trying to trash on a BCA product. This is not a takedown video. Just showing you guys the total, honest, no BS truth. Hope you enjoy these types of videos. Hope to see you at the next one. Stay tuned for more gel tests, gun reviews, straight wall cartridge test series that we're doing right now for all you guys that like to do deer hunting, and a whole bunch of other cool stuff coming up. Thank you for watching this video, and until we see you next time, stay safe, have fun, and keep shooting reliable guns, hopefully.